friends, this video on organisms and their surroundings part 13 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So now that we have discussed quite a few terrestrial habitat, let us move towards aquatic habitat. So in aquatic habitat, we will talk about the water bodies like oceans, ponds, rivers and lakes. So let's first talk about oceans. So again, in oceans we have huge variety of plants as well as animals. In fact, there are many different types of plants that are found in oceans. Now some of them lie on the seabed, some of them are like floating on the sea. So there are many different types of plants. When you talk about the animals which are seen in the oceans, so fishes are one very common animals, and the fishes again have certain special features which help them to survive in the water bodies, like they have gills which help to take in the dissolved oxygen from water. They also have fins and tail which help them to maintain balance while moving in water, and the tail helps to change the direction. Their streamlined body, that is tapered at both the ends and like thicker in between. So this shape of their body helps them to move through water, because whenever an organism tries to move through water, water also gives a lot of resistance. So this streamlined body can overcome that water resistance. It can reduce that water resistance and it can move ahead. So that's the advantage of a streamlined body. Now we will also see that it is not that all types of fishes that live in ocean they adapt in similar ways. Now different fishes have different types of adaptations. When you look at dolphins, they do not have gills. So they do not have gills. So how do they take in the dissolved oxygen from water? Now have you ever noticed that if you have ever visited a sea from near, you would have seen that the dolphins, they tend to come out of the ocean at certain, very frequently they jump out of the ocean and again go back. So what do they try to do during that time? So these dolphins, they have openings over their head called nostrils or blowholes, like how we have nostrils. Similarly, they have holes on upper parts of their heads which are called blowholes or nostrils, and through these holes they take in oxygen. So they breathe in the oxygen that is present in air through these holes, and therefore they come out to the surface to take in the air. And that is why dolphin is one such fish which tends to come out of the water so many times, because it needs oxygen. So every time it needs oxygen, it tends to come out to the surface. But other than that, it also has fins and tails which help it in maintaining a balance and changing direction while moving through water. This also has a streamlined body, because if the organisms do not have a streamlined body, they will not be able to move through water, because water will have a lot of resistance. Now that is why you would have seen that when we try to swim, now our body as such is not streamlined, but when we try to swim, look at the swimming postures that we make. So those postures are made in such a way that it gives the appearance of a streamlined body. You look at some other animals which live in ocean, for example an octopus. Now look at the shape of an octopus. So they have a very flexible body. The shape of their body can also be changed with various movements, but they as such do not have a streamlined shape. Why? That's because most of the time these animals, they remain at the seabed, that is at the bottom of the ocean. So they do not really swim much, they do not really move through the ocean a lot. But yes, they do move at certain times. So how do they move? Now since their body is very flexible, so when they have to swim, they take a streamlined shape by moving their arms and everything. They trained to take a streamlined shape, and that's how they swim. Now they mostly swim and they feed on other aquatic animals. Now whenever other organisms come near them, they tend to catch them. So that's how the octopus survives. So they have flexible body shapes. So these body shapes take the shape of a streamlined shape when they have to swim. They mostly live deep inside the ocean, mostly on the seabed. They also have gills, and the gills help them to take in oxygen dissolved in water. Let us now talk about other water bodies like ponds and lakes. So when you talk about ponds and lakes, there also you see a huge variety of fishes. Maybe the fishes which live in oceans, they are not very comfortable in living in ponds or lakes. That's because the salt content in the seawater is quite different than the salt content in the ponds or lakes. But yes, there might be different varieties of fishes, but yes, fishes do exist in ponds and lakes. They also have gills to absorb oxygen dissolved in water, fins and tail for their movement with ease, and streamlined body again to move through water. Besides this, there are other animals like frogs which live in ponds and lakes. Now frogs again, they are amphibians. That is, they can survive both on land as well as water. So they can survive on land and they can also survive in water. Now some of the adaptations of frogs are, they have webbed feet. Now if you have ever observed the feet of the frog, they are like, the fingers, they are like connected to each other, they are webbed. So that is why they are called webbed feet. Now this webbed feet gives them a swimming advantage. Now when they want to live in water, they need to swim, otherwise how will they move in water? So this webbed feet help them in swimming. Now the question is, okay, so that's how they might swim, but when they live in the water bodies, how do they take in oxygen? Because they do not have gills and they also do not seem to have nostrils. So how do they take in the oxygen? So they absorb oxygen that is dissolved in water through their skin. So if you have ever come across the skin of a frog, they have a very slimy skin, and this skin has pores through which they take in the oxygen that is dissolved in water. They also have large rounded eyes which allow them to look in all directions. So these are some of the adaptations for frogs because of which they are comfortably able to live in water as well. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more educational videos with a better experience. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest updates. Thank you once again.